down so bad. I just gave up and like, okay, forget about sports, forget about anything. I need to be here. I need to fight. But what I'm getting at is there's no room that I can't sit in and be comfortable. You're a millionaire, been there. You lost millions, been there. You got problems, been there. Suicide, been there. So honestly, there's no hat. So I've learned to be honest and open and understand. Some people may not understand my story. Some people may not be able to ready to hear my story, and they're going to rebuke and come after me because I hit home to them, and they're not ready to hear that. So what you're saying is, yeah, we're all wounded, and it takes a wounded person to help another one. You gotta, I remember when I went through my kidney transplant, and it was really rough. And I came home, and the first day I came home, I remember looking at my wife, and I just said, help me upstairs, and I passed out. And I made a decision I wasn't going to take any of the drugs that I was on. I flushed them all down the toilet because I got so many weapons in my house. And I hallucinate really bad on the morphines, and not morphines, the opiates that I take. I hallucinate really bad. So if anything happens, my brain grabs it and runs with it. So if my doors are closed in my room and the wind blows, I'm thinking somebody's coming through the door. My brain would grab onto that, and it'll be reality to me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to grab my weapon and point it at something that's not really there with my kid. So I just made this, I got to hurt. I'd rather hurt really bad and have my brain than not. Your boss, because you're about to lose your job right now. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's fun stuff. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah.
I just think I'm gonna need your mic a little tiny bit closer to you.
It's just
give me. Just put it down. Well,
even the circumference is frightening. I'm sorry. I'm telling you guys, it's gonna get real bad here. So
perfect.
Yeah. Well, hey, gentlemen.
Yeah, nice. I'm excited. I'm not gonna lie. Wow, the sound.
Yeah, the sound is good.
Sound is amazing.
Sound good.
Yeah, it's more crisp. So we just upgraded the studio, and we actually with the new wires, it pushes the sound.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Faster, huh?
So you guys started this about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Are we on now?
We're anything. Yeah.
So what was your mind frame behind it and all that?
I'm gonna let Chad. I'm gonna refer to him.
Hey, Chad.
I can definitely answer that question.
Yeah.
So the Hopeaholics started because on 9/11 of 2022, I got a phone call at 7:30 a.m. I was doing my normal Sunday routine, shaving my head, getting ready to hit the gym. It was 7:30 a.m. My phone rang. I looked down. It was my daughter. I was like, this is weird that she's calling me this early because she's usually sleeping at 7:30 a.m. So I reached down and answered the phone, and I said hello. And what I heard was a young lady, my daughter, screaming, Justin's dead. And it really affected me. He died from fentanyl. I've worked in the drug and alcohol treatment industry for 22 years. That's all I've ever done. That's all I know. I'm in recovery myself. And the last 4 years, fentanyl has been rampant in this country. And I have seen more people die in 4 years than I've seen in the previous 18. So God had put it on my heart to start a podcast and bring awareness and offer hope to the family members who have lost their lives, and to the family members who can't talk because they're in so much pain. And this has been a crazy journey because this podcast is blowing up. I didn't expect it to blow up the way it's blown up. And it's brought me some amazing people like Tim, yourself. I've been I started lifting weights in 1996 when I was 22 years old.
That's a good year for me, 1996.
When I was 22 years old, I had just come off of a 10-year meth run. I knew nothing about lifting weights, and there was no internet back then. So all I had was the guys at the gym that I thought were in good shape that I would follow and mimic what they did, and then magazines that I got to see you graced on the cover on. So, all of this coming full circle is a big deal to me.
Yeah. Wow, that was a loaded question, but it breaks the ice and it sets a tone for, I think, the podcast that everybody's going to listen to. Yeah, that's rough. I mean, my son, the only son I have two, he's named after me. His real name is Flex Wheeler, but he was a great athlete. He's 25. He was a great athlete, and I had the honor of coaching him during Pop Warner in high school. And during Pop Warner, there was this little kid. His mother was raising him because his mother and father were not good in the picture. Great kid. They used to call me dad because I treat them all like my sons. They would come over the house and hang out and all that. But long story short, he had problems, and it's really difficult. As a child, when you grow up with problems, because we are not aware of it on the surface, but they manifest behind the curtains, and it causes us to act certain ways and do certain things. And people only see the outskirt of us acting certain ways, and they absolutely have no idea of what little monsters are behind triggering things. It's like the Wizard of Oz, and you meet the real wizard, and he's just some little punk who has problems too, but he's like trying to make all the rules and make everybody else feel sad. But this great little kid, literally, like I said, he was like my son because he didn't have a dad. And he lost his life to fentanyl last year, and really messed my son up. It was the first death that my son was a part of, and it really affected me. But it's sad, and it's crazy because I have so many drugs in my house, fentanyl, freaking Dilaudid, because of all my problems. And the truth is, they don't really help. They just mask the pain. I'll go ahead and say this is the first time even acknowledging to it, and the team knows, but I literally just got out of hospital less than 24 hours ago. I was in hospital for almost a week just because of the pain I go through my leg. I stay between a 5 and 10, mostly on the high end, 24 hours a day, never goes away. Been like that for 5 years. It's just, just pain alone, what it triggers and what it does to you. I'm just now, researching and finding out how it really chemically changes and alters your thinking, how you see things. And I'm thankful to God that I don't have an addictive personality to drugs, because I wouldn't be here. I've been suicidal all my life. That's no secret. I've told the world about that for the last 3 decades. First time I tried to take my life, I was barely 16. Last time was maybe 2 years ago. And I'm not talking thoughts or anything. I'm talking pure acts. I'm talking gun to my head. I'm talking, living recklessly because I didn't care. Never thought I would make it out of my neighborhood. Never thought I would make it to 18. When I did, I'm like, okay, so I always lived like there's no tomorrow. When it came to saving money, anything like, well, I'm not going to be here anyway, right? Had a rough life, and going back to, like I said, what kids go through, it still bangs me out to this moment. I'm 58-year-old man, and my childhood still twists my brain. And, born and on welfare. So I got to fight a lot because of that, because you're on welfare. So now I got to fight. Homeless at times, hungry, wearing clothes that stink. I can stand my socks up and they'd stand up by themselves. I'm wearing hand-me-downs and having a fight because of that in school. Being beaten. I was dyslexic, and like I said, I'm 58 years old. I am dyslexic. So back then, they didn't know what dyslexia was. They just thought we were stupid. Mm-hmm. Teachers back then, if you guys are old enough, teachers would call you stupid. That's back with the little dummy hat that they put on us and make. That's me,
the dunce cap.
Yeah, and they're not aware how that just really bends you, and it manifests somehow. Whatever this kid was going through. It really hurts me when I hear stories like that, because I'm like, I question, right, respectfully, God, why am I still here? I've done so many horrible things. I should be in prison, things I've done. I should be dead, things I've done. I've done horrible things throughout my life. Why me? And, I have so many things right now trying to take my life. I have a rare, deadly kidney disease. It's called focal glomerulosclerosis. I was diagnosed with that back in 1999 when they barely knew what it was. Yep. And they didn't even want to tell me. They just continued running tests on me for over a year because they're like, we think we know what's going on, but we just don't want to say it yet. And they finally came out and told me in 2000. But I knew something was wrong, and I knew I was dying. I'm very incredibly sensitive to myself. And I looked in the mirror when I was training. I'm like, you're dying, right? I'm like, I know. He goes, you're killing yourself, right? I'm like, I know. So I just stopped looking in the mirror. Mm-hmm. That's one of the most difficult things when you're honest looking in the mirror. It ain't going to lie to you. It will paint a picture that your brain allows it to. But if you really want to see yourself, that's hard. It's always easy to point out other people's problems. You this. Get in the mirror and do that with yourself. Be honest. You only know what you've done. Me, certain people in certain countries only know what I've done. Certain homies only know what I've done. Go ahead, be honest in the mirror and talk about those things, and then go out and judge people. You won't be able to.
Nope.
So
that's pretty powerful. When I think about this, for all of us at the table, that when we're little, we think that life is black, which is negative, white, which is positive, but I found that life is mostly gray. Gray is I don't understand why it happened. And in my type of field of being a therapist for people, I hear a lot of tragedy that goes on. Maybe a woman backing up from her parking lot and runs over her 2-year-old child and kills him.
Jesus.
Or just horrific things that happen to good people. And Flex, I think one of the challenges is that how do we play hurt? Because we're all damn hurt. So how do we play hurt? And then how do we also heal people once we're hurt? So we become wounded healers. So I feel like in my own life that's one reason that I set forth to heal people is I'm a wounded healer. I understand pain. And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about your pain, but yeah, in the midst of your pain, you're out there healing people.
Yeah, it's no reason for me to be here or have made it. I really don't have any great skill set. I knew I wasn't smart and intelligent. I knew that because I was around really smart and intelligent people. I knew I wasn't a pure athlete because my dad was. My brother was. I'd seen what pure athletes can do on a football field, track, and basketball. My father got a scholarship to Fresno State, football, basketball, track. all the sports. I know what an athlete is. I've been around them. I knew that wasn't me. I was a great fighter, but back then there was no money to be made in martial arts. Back when I was in my prime, if you were a great martial artist, they put you on a screen to start a show, do some like freaking hellmaker and knock you out. And it was very, very disrespectful for two fighters. So we wouldn't do that. But what I understand now, and I started to understand throughout my career when I started being honest, when I rededicated myself to Christ, because I always went to church. If there's any good in me, it's because of my grandmother. Her faith was just so unbreakable. She just threw out such energy. You couldn't be around her without understanding it. So I just leaned on her. I love my grandmother so much. She raised me. Poor as we was, she raised me. So I had so much love for her. I'm like, if that's the route she runs, I'm gonna run with it. Got to be. So I had to relearn as a child, as an adult. You get baptized and everything in church. You don't know what it is, man. You're thinking sexual thoughts in church. You're looking at girls. Pastor's not talking about any of that. You feel ostracized, like you don't know what it is. So I had to rededicate myself when I got older. And what I understood when I started reading the Bible or trying to read it, everybody in there is banged out.
No doubt about it.
And I learned that, through before the internet, I used to get just tons of letters from other people who were suicidal. I made a statement in a couple of magazines back in the 90s. Hey, this is what I'm going through, man. If you guys are going through it, get at me. Let me try to help you. And you're right. So, I come from the hood, and I know all you guys understand this. You don't know what you're talking about, dude. You don't know what I've been through. I'd rather hurt you than listen to you. Actually, a matter of fact, you touched me too close, so now I got to hurt you to switch gears. That's the first thing they're going to say. So what I started to understand is all these lemons that were dealt to me, how can I make lemonade out of them and serve them back sweet? How can I take being molested from the age of 5 was the first time I was molested, multiple times by 2 different people for hours. Molested from the age of 5 all the way to the age of 14, being homeless, being beaten, all that stuff, having to quit my sport that I love because of a disease. Now I'm fighting for this disease. When I had a kidney transplant in 2003, I had 9 surgeries in 11 weeks. I almost died from. Literally, they told me, you're going to die because you're not eating. They had so many IVs in me. I remember counting 16 because they were trying to also save my life because my body was just eating itself up. I went from eating 9,000 calories and not eating. So 9 surgeries in 11 weeks. And it just beat me down so bad. I just gave up and like, okay, forget about sports, forget about anything. I need to be here. I need to fight. But what I'm getting at is there's no room that I can't sit in and be comfortable. You're a millionaire, been there. You lost millions, been there. You got problems, been there. Suicide, been there. So honestly, there's no hat. So I've learned to be honest and open and understand. Some people may not understand my story. Some people may not be able to ready to hear my story, and they're going to rebuke and come after me because I hit home to them, and they're not ready to hear that. So what you're saying is, we're all wounded, and it takes a wounded person to help another one. You gotta, I remember when I went through my kidney transplant, and it was really rough. And I came home, and the first day I came home, I remember looking at my wife. And I just said, help me upstairs. And I passed out. And I made a decision I wasn't going to take any of the drugs that I was on. I flushed them all down the toilet because I got so many weapons in my house. And I hallucinate really bad on the morphines, and not morphines, the opiates that I take. I hallucinate really bad. So if anything happens, my brain grabs it and runs with it. So if my doors are closed in my room and the wind blows, I'm thinking somebody's coming through the door. My brain would grab onto that, and it'll be reality to me. I don't want to grab my weapon and point it at something that's not really there or my kid. So I just made this, I got to hurt. I'd rather hurt really bad and have my brain than not. So it takes a hurt person to go through that. And I know that. So that's why I try to just, take my limits. Life's going to give you limits no matter what. I don't care if you're a millionaire. I don't care what you got. You're going to have problems. Yeah. You're going to have problems. So
when you
like-minded people.
When you think of your childhood, was there a time that you saw something that made you optimistic? And
nope. God only. You know what? I don't know why. I remember vividly so many times in my room, we had, it was so many, I smile about it now, but we had so many rats and roaches all over the place. In my bedroom, I would turn my lights on and keep my eyes closed and count to 20 so that they'd all scatter so I didn't have to see them. Same thing in the kitchen. And I remember one time I was just laying in bed, a horrible little kid. I was a great fighter, but I wouldn't even fight on the street. I think until I was 16, I didn't even have a street fight. I just let them beat me up. Mm-hmm. Literally, I just let people beat me up. I would just stare at them. They punched me in the eye, in the mouth, this, that, and other. And I'd be like, that don't hurt. If I really wanted to hurt him, I would invite him to school, and then I would demolish him, and then they can run back and tell everybody else. But we all go through that. So, no, it was God, but I didn't have a better understanding of that relationship with him. I just sat there and I said, somehow it's going to be better. And I remember laughing and smiling about it in the midst of all this. I'm like, you know what? One day it'll be better. I won't have to live like this. I didn't know how. I have no skill set. But it was just something inside me. Just like, why it'll be better one day. And you'll look back on this and you'll smile, man. That little flicker that stayed there, I guess, is what's burning bright now. But no, I got to be honest. And as we segue out of this and go into hope and happiness, I got to take you into the bowels of the hell. But I don't want to lead people there because that's a bad feeling. We got to be careful about that. But didn't really have any hope, brother. No, not until I got older. Honestly, I didn't have hope until I became a pro bodybuilder. I just have I have very, very low to no self-esteem. And I hate people to know that. So I act the opposite. If you hurt my feelings or you say something I don't like, I'll be better off cussing you out or trying to hurt you instead of being a real man. Like, I wasn't cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I actually like what he's talking about, Shane, because I think that we're so used to watching movies and we're like, okay, the first quarter of the movie, if it was kind of sad and full of drama, they're going to fix it like real quick. But that's not how life is sometimes. No. Sometimes
the insecurities are real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shane, what goes through your mind when you hear?
Well, I'll tell you what goes through my mind is that you're paying sacrifices throughout his life from his childhood on. Everyone has to pay a price. He's paying to hide one higher than normal. In my eyes, that makes him a greater person. He has a message to carry, and he could touch people and save millions of lives with what he's gone through and the honesty that this man has. When he walked in the door, his eyes, his face, he lit up my room. He made me feel safe. He made me feel good just by looking at him. That's what I got from Flex.
Mm-hmm. What I like, Flex, is, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Is that when I told the story, I could see the emotion in your face. Even as I started to get emotional, because if I go back to that day, that was a life-changing day for me, for my daughter. It was her fiance that she found dead. He was like a son to me. He had lived with me for 5 years, and I love the fact that you walked in here and were comfortable enough to be honest and vulnerable, like. People don't realize, like, how important and authentic that is for us men to just sit here and just, like, be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're always supposed to be, like, the tough guy. But, man, life has kicked my ass, man, and but at the same time, I'm grateful for that, for that ass kicking.
Yeah.
Cause like I don't know who I would be. I thought about this, like, I don't know if it was yesterday morning, but I was like, what if I was never a drug addict? Mm-hmm. I would have probably been like a doctor, because my dad was a doctor.
But is that a good thing?
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Because I think I would have been an asshole.
And the thing about even that, I've had so many conversations with surgeons and doctors, and even, when I competed, I was always brutally honest. And all right, what are you taking? And I tell them, come on, you need to help me, so I'm not going to hold it back. Yeah. And then they would try to ridicule me for the things I take, and I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm by far the dullest. And I look at them like, I know what drugs you used. I know what drugs you use. It's impossible for you to stay up and do a 24-hour surgery and be at your best. Don't give me that.
Yeah,
Right? And I said it to one doctor, and he just stared at me and goes, I'll get you help now.
Yeah.
So he understood, and he didn't play that game with me. Don't play games. But, you know, you're so right. Growing up, I was just around what I thought was tough guys who robbed, stole, beat up people, molested people. So when I became this alter ego Flex Wheeler guy, and was aware of my strength and my fighting ability, I became that guy. I was never a bully, but man, look at me the wrong way. You know, I come from that neighborhood. You just got to look at me. We make eye contact. We lock eyes. We walking towards each other. What's up? What's up with you? There's no more talking. That's the world I come from. So unfortunately, I took that world with me when I moved to Venice as a pro athlete, because I'm like, that's what tough guys do. And you look at the exterior of somebody and you visualize, you look like when they walked in the room. It's very intimidating. Even I know these gentlemen, you know, and even when they walked up to me and we greeted each other, like, geez, we guys are mafia, you know, just the way you move, that energy. But the BS part about that, that's not what a tough guy is. And I learned that, you know, I even back then, I never started anything, but man, I would light fire if they wanted to. I'd let them know, hey, I'm like the weather. However you need it. You know, if you need to be hot, I take my jacket off. If you need to be warm, I'll put a jacket on. I'll respond to you however you need it, and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I became a person who enjoyed hurting people, because I thought about all the people who beat me down when I was a kid, and I let them. And I'm like, let me meet one of those guys. But that's not a tough guy. A tough guy is somebody who shows their exterior and their interior. A tough guy is vulnerable and doesn't mind showing their feelings and crying. But we're trained, don't cry. You see the movies, don't cry, boy.
Yeah. That was my favorite. My dad's favorite line was, "Stop crying, or I'll give you something to cry about."
Yeah, mine too.
Well, my grandmother said that,
Standard.
but only while she was whooping me. Stop crying, I'll give you something. I'm like, come on, what are you doing? You know, dry up. What do you mean dry up? You know, you're spanking me.
Yeah.
But it's great that, you know, even meeting this team and knowing them, I'm just honest, I have to remind myself who they are. Because if I look at them and only their exterior, I don't want to be around these cats.
Tell me who this team is. So you came in with a deep posse, deeper than Snoop Dogg.
I don't know about that. I know Snoopy. Man, he carries some weight with him. But anyway.
He really does. And as you know, Flex, it's like in a big damn puff of smoke.
Yes, sir.
As you roll through them.
I'll let them introduce themselves.
Guys, introduce yourselves, starting right here, and we go all the way down.
Sure, I'm Dane Poole. I'm the vice president for JW Fit.
Nice.
Can we hear without the mic or no?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, so my name is Scotty, Karate Scotty, a.k.a. I'm the president here at JW Fit.
And I'm Justin Wenzel. I'm the CEO and founder of Justin Wenzel Fitness, JW Fit.
Okay, I like it. And then what's the connection with Flex? What are you guys doing with Flex?
So it's funny. Flex and I met on the airplane coming back from the Arnold Classic.
Yeah.
And we sat right next to each other and just hit it off and started talking. And you know, every month or so we'd communicate. And he was getting into online coaching, which is kind of what we specialize in. Mm-hmm. And you know, back and forth, we just communicate. And then one day, you know, I don't know if you took your shot or I took my shot.
Yeah. Yeah. So we met on a plane, and I really feel that that pure alpha males, it's A or B. Either we meet by contact, we get along.
Yeah.
Just like that. Yeah. Nothing. Or we make eye contact.
It's over.
No, you're not getting along.
Yeah.
Don't look at me again. Or we're going to lock eyes, and who's going to look away? First person to look away is a PUS, and now we got to fight over some childish stuff. That's just the truth, right? That's just the truth. Yeah. So we glanced at each other. We were both sitting, you know, next to each other, and we glanced at each other, and, you know, I recognized, you know, just who he is based on his tattoo, his aura that he carries. I didn't know what company he did, but I knew he was a made man, and he was successful by the way he carried himself. And we started chatting. We got along great. Innocent conversation. And I think the best business and relationships comes from just innocent conversation, because everybody's being pure. I don't have no ulterior motive. I don't know what this man is about or anything. I'm not trying to get towards him. It's like meeting a woman 20 years later. The whole time that you knew her, you would have probably tried to get at her. You're not that person. So they really got to know you. So it's great when you meet a person, you have no ulterior motives and you get to know each other, because then it's pure. And that's how I met these fellas here.
I think too, which was interesting, is like you couldn't take two of the most open and honest people. Like we have nothing like to hide. We're like both of us. Like I think right away I told you like, oh, by the way, I'm an addict. I'm in recovery. I recover out loud as fuck. And you know, and I like right away, just the two of us, like, again, you take two guys who just have nothing to hide and a good connection and a solid, you know, and then not to mention a 5-hour flight from Columbus, Ohio. You know, you're gonna find something in common, and it's been really great ever since. And like, every day, Scotty and I, you know, when I first talked to you, I'm going to tell you this. I don't think I've ever told you this before. I manifested you being part of our
Is that right?
Scotty and
you
I
sent that energy to me.
I was like, someday Flex is going to be a part of JW Fit. There's no questions asked.
Wow.
Like, and not that we had to force it.
Sure,
it happened organically. No, but I definitely was like, this is going to happen. Like there was nobody else I wanted more. And I've told you before, I'm not even a big bodybuilding fan. And but like just our connection as Ken, because I know you as Ken. And well, I know you as Flex Wheeler too. But you know, like that was it. So
and it was one time I was in a hospital. I've been having quite frequent visits to the hospital lately, but it's all good. I was in a hospital I think a couple of months ago for almost a month, and he actually texted me, and you know, I'm honest. I say, hey man, I'm in a hospital right now. I think it was an event. He asked me if I was coming to, you know, like, you know, whoa, are you okay? And he, you know, he sent some texts, and it's like, wow, you know, I don't even really know this guy, and he's showing empathy towards me. That's different. That's interesting.
That's powerful.
So when I started wanting to up my game, you know, I was watching his information and everything, and I remembered what he was about, and like, you know what? Let me try to reach out to somebody who's doing something better than I am and try to learn from them. And when I did, he was just open arms. Let's get it. You know, let's go. What really blew me away is as we sit and we talk about our issues and our personal problems, the first phone call, the first conference call that I had with them, first before we even started, they opened up and told me everything about them, which just blew me away. It just sat me back. But like you, it set the tone. I'm going to be me regardless. I'm very comfortable with being open and vulnerable, but it really set the tone to let me know what type of room I'm in. So when those gentlemen did this, and they all told me their stories and everything, and I'm like, good God.
Yeah, to any guy on the couch, any of the guys on the couch, give me a perspective of Flex that we don't know about, whether it's his sense of humor or the way he deals with people.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. Flex has to be one of the most humble. Like, he doesn't like the spotlight. You know, we're all excited. Tuesday nights for us, that's like the weekly coaching call. That's where all the coaches come on Zoom from like all over the world. I mean, it's like the UN of online coaches, right? And when we signed up Flex, you know, of course, we made a huge announcement in our messenger app, and so everyone's freaking out. And so that first call with Flex on, you have like half the guys trying to talk over each other. Right. Flex the legend. Oh, Flex, I'm going to come down, and man, we got it. You can sleep on my couch. And they're arguing where Flex is going to stay, and Flex the whole time is just sitting back going, hey man, I'm no better than you guys. I'm just a regular man. You know, I'm just here to learn and try and help some people. And so when Flex started talking like that, you know, I already respect the you know, totally respect Flex as a person. But when he became vulnerable and humbled himself down and kind of brought himself down to that, and then pointed up there and say, man, I'm only here because of him, because the guy upstairs. Yeah. My respect and my love for Flex went through the roof. I'm like, I love this guy, man. So it's been an awesome experience so far.
And that's just the truth. We empower people. We empower people. Like, I'm happily married and everything, but you know, before you look at a woman and you empower her, before you even talk to her, man, I bet this, I bet that, blah, blah, blah. You sent her all this power, and now you're not normal anymore. And then, you know, sometimes we may be uncomfortable talking to that person, even if it's a person, see a person, the way they carry themselves, their jewelry, whatever. We put power on them. Oh, they got money.
That's very true.
You know, I like what he said there.
Yeah,
I've never looked at it in that sense before.
And what I learned, and I still struggle with this, but what I started learning is take that power back, especially for women. Take the power back, dude. She's somebody else's somebody that didn't want her. She's just a girl. You know, he's just a guy. He's just a business guy. And so I took that old saying from Jay-Z, you know, I'm not the businessman. I am the businessman.
Yeah.
So it's not the car I ride. Back in the days, like, I'm a pimp my ride. No. It's a pimp in my ride. You know, I'm not a pimp, but I am a pimp of the game. You know, I used to say, you know, I'm an iron pimp. I pimp this iron. You know, I tried to take that you know, negativity about pimping and make it positive. And I had shirts that called, you know, pimping iron. I'm not pimping his iron, man.
Yeah,
because I was.
Was that your swag? Was that your?
Yeah, I had shirts like that. Back then, man. I still have some in my closet.
Let's bring those back,
I
man.
still got some in the closet.
Bring those back.
I mean, with this team right here,
man. Do it.
and
That would work.
The swag
Back in the 90s, yeah,
bro.
pimping wasn't all that
it
great.
wasn't
You
that
know?
great, was it? The only one pimping was Too Short.
Man, and he was honest about it.
Oh yeah.
We do that, and you know, it's so much easier when you're around like-minded people. Then I don't have to puff up.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to puff my chest up. I don't have to beat it. And like I said, they made that really easy for me when they just opened up. I just sat back and, you know, our whole team that we have, like you said, it's people. I think it was somebody from Sweden on the last call, the call before last week. Norway. And I'm like, good God. And just every new person that comes on the team, first thing we do is have them go ahead and just, if they want, floor is yours.
Yeah.
And probably 99% of us has been through some really, really bad problems, drug addicts, jail, prison, this, that, and the other. And again, I see that as a power because now only that type of person can reach down and pull somebody up from that.
Yeah.
So it's a strength, and we need to empower people in a positive way instead of making it so
As
nervous.
you know, Flex, there's a scripture in the Bible that says, "For God knows the end from the beginning, and he knows what is yet to unfold." And so I always say this, you got to be careful not to fold while you're still unfolding. So like the game of poker, if you don't like your hand, you can say, damn it, I don't like my hand, I fold. And everybody in this room, we've been in a time in our life where we felt like, damn, folding. But you can't fold because he's still unfolding you. So when I look at you, I see good things ahead.
Yeah.
It's not just because I'm optimistic, but it is because I'm miracle-minded. And miracle-minded is a choice. We renew our mind into a God mindset, which is a miracle mentality. So I see you getting through this bullshit. That's how I see you. I see you coming through the stuff. But it's going to be supernatural, as you know, because that's what got you even here. So when you think about yourself unfolding, give me one project you're excited about for the future, whether it's speaking more, projects you guys are doing. Give me something that's in the area of, damn, this is good. I'm unfolding and I can speak this, help people in a certain way. What are you excited about?
So all of it, and it's so hard to put it into one. But the great thing about it is they all have camaraderie and chemistry. So being a part of JW Fit, I get to help people. Having my nutrition company, Flex Wheeler's Nutrition, I get to help people. Having my clothing line that I'm just releasing, I get to help people. So it's not only, obviously I have to make a profit in a business, but it's my way of helping people and being able to touch people that I would never. That's my greatest desire. I don't really care about money anymore. I've been a millionaire. I've lost it. I made it. I lost it. And while I was a millionaire, I'm still putting a gun at 50 caliber to my head, trying to. So that didn't make me happy. I remember one of my buddies telling me, man, this is rough to say, but he's like, man, you pick up girls like pebbles on a beach, like sand on a beach. You might as well have a rotating door, because they see each other going in and out. It don't make you happy. It doesn't make you happy. And what I really found is like helping people makes me happy. It's unbelievable. And you know what? It's also refining because when you hear a story from someone, if you listen to their story deeply, you look in their eyes and you can see yourself. You can see their pain. Yeah. And all that. And it ain't no amount of money, ain't no woman, ain't no drug gonna make you feel like that.
No.
And if it does, it ain't salvageable. No. It's not gonna be livable for a long time. Yeah, you might. I don't know what those crazy drugs feel like, but I think probably the drugs that I've been on are probably even worse because they're cleaner. Yeah. And worse. and I don't even have to say anything. They just walk in the room and just stick me more. And like I said, the stuff I have at home, but it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. But helping people, man, it is, and
Can I
it
ask
manifests.
you a question with this, and I think Chad, you could jump in here too. When I listened to your story and I watched 3 interviews about you in the last few days, that it seems like he's been in a lot of like constant turbulence. It's like when we fly to Las Vegas, why in the hell is it always turbulence, you know, mostly when you land into Vegas.
Hate
right?
that.
And it seems like he's in this constant state of turbulence. But at the same time, you see so many like successes and breakouts in his life and great things in his life. What do you get from that?
What I get from that is he has a champion mindset. And, you know, and I don't know where that came from you. From you. Love that.
Yeah.
God.
Come from me. Came from him. Like
Did
he
you
says,
believe-
I can't add a hair to my head, you know.
Yeah.
What year did you start bodybuilding?
I actually started working out when I was 9. I graduated, and I heard people lie all the time, but it's facts. You can see pictures. I was 98 pounds when I graduated, pissing wet. I mean, I wore size 11 shoes. I was short. I ran and I would fall over my feet and everything like that. So I had no talent. So, you know, even the kindness that you said when I walked in the room, and you and everybody did. It's not me. It's just a glimmer of him. I'm a derelict. Come on, what can I do? I have no power to do any of that. So what you're saying, I ask myself all that time, why am I always seeming to go through things? You know, and I hear these things, you know, even my son, who's not that vocal on my message board, he posted, you know, it's like, you know, God gives his greatest battles to his greatest warriors. And, you know, I don't question him in a negative way, but I know I can talk to him honestly. And I'm like, man, you sure? You sure you got the right one? You know, and it's constant, whether it's, you know, mental health that I've been through, that I go through, which guys don't talk about now. And I think everybody do. You know, a good friend of mine, Terry Crews, and
I love Terry.
Yeah,
he's
and,
one of my favorite humans.
Michael J. White and Batista, we all talk about it. And you look at these gentlemen, man, they can easily hurt you.
Yes.
You know, some of the most intimidating men, but when they open up, you're like, good God, we're alike. So I don't know, but I got a big mouth, and I keep telling God, you know, hey, whatever you put on my shoulders, I'm good, man. I don't care. I don't care. I honestly don't. So what I go through, I don't care. Does it hurt? Yeah. Does it feel? Does it bang me out? Yeah. But if this is your will, I'm good with it. You know, I've already been told. I'm at risk of losing all my limbs. So, you know, they still are fighting not to amputate my leg all the way up to my hip. I'm at risk of losing both my other legs and both my arms. And, you know, not to mention I'm at stage 3, which I haven't even said this, you know, so you guys are getting a lot of good stuff.
Yeah. I'm
at stage 3 kidney failure. My kidneys right now my kidney is working at 30%. You know, I had a kidney transplant in 2003. And when they told me a year ago, it's like, it's cool. And it's like, you know, you shouldn't be upset. I'm not. Are you kidding? I have a rare disease, and I got a kidney transplant from an angel from my church. And this kidney has lasted 21 years with everything that I've been through. Yeah. Are you kidding? So I just keep saying to God, hey, whatever it is, I'm good, man. I'm good with it. And I am, because he knows best for me. I don't know best. I'm a kid. Imagine your kid trying to tell you, I know what's best, Dad. Really? And if I say, I know what's best to Dad, he'll be like, really? Okay, go ahead. Go get at it.
Yeah.
Let me see you do that.
If we were to take you, if we were to take you into into a prison, which I'm sure you've probably spoken in prisons.
I wish I haven't yet. I'd love to.
So if we took you into,
I worked in jail, so I don't know if they'll like me or not. I was an officer before, a police officer.
but if we took you into a prison,
I remember that.
Yeah, I was a sheriff officer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
what would your message be if we all went into a prison today and shared? What would your message be to people that are incarcerated?
Pretty easy, and it's not my message. I've seen this message before. It's really stupidity. A lot of them are in there for some of the reasons I said before. Just thinking you're tough.
Yeah.
Looking at another man, not being able to turn away. Actually, you're really a punk. You're not really turn away, and you hurt or take this person's life because they hurt your feelings or offended you. And now you spending the rest of your life in there. The other thing is just, it's a bigger, I don't know if they would grab this, but, a lot of times, even this podcast, everybody want to understand it. We're only talking to the people who are listening.
Yeah.
And the only people who are listening, really listening, are the people who are like-minded, who's been through something that captivates them. Everybody else, we might as well be talking Cantonese and Mandarin, because they're not going to hear us. And I'm good with that.
The reason I ask that question is that even though you've been through these things, you're not incarcerated. Like you did not let life lock you up. Because if you let it lock you up, you'd be in some dark apartment now.
I gotta tell them. I would have to say it's just hope and faith, right? Because I don't want to be Captain Negative here, but I always think I'm in prison because I battle myself in my mind. But I always had this saying, and this is one of the things I would say to them. I always thought I'm not going to amount to anything whatsoever, but it ain't going to be from lack of trying. Even as a bodybuilder, I'm like, you suck. You're not going to win. I'm like, it ain't going to be for a lack of trying. So just continue trying. When I had no hope, I just, even my first book that I wrote, the title was Dare to Dream. And I don't know where I coined that, but it's like, man, our dreams are stolen as kids because of our hardship.
Yeah.
Or something that you've been through as an adult, what you've been through that could have ricocheted you and sent you, I don't know where, your daughter too. So even as adults, we go through things. But there's such a bigger battle that's going on, and it's evil and good. And it triggers everything. And I would just try to get them to, at the very end, the message, just dare to dream. Just dare to dream. And you can change your life. Hey, maybe some of you guys are never going to get out of here, but we're all on this world. Some people look at this world and say it's a prison. So I know a lot of the guys, they free their minds even if they're in prison. So I would dare them to try and find what would free their mind, whether it's reading, getting an education, working out, or any of those things. Or the biggest thing is understanding who your master is. And I'm telling you, my biggest story, and they might not get it, and what I would say to them, I would pray that they find him and have a relationship with him. Because even your worst scenario in the world won't be that bad. And that's the bigger picture when all this good and evil, black and white, racist and all that crap. No, it's him and him. They're getting at it, and we're the little soldiers in between. And when you really see that picture, it's really hard to look at another man and be like, I want to hurt him, because it ain't that man. It's something that triggered that man, and the same thing that's triggering you. And when we see that bigger picture, which still, in the heat of my anger, I got to fight that. But you have to, or else this is where you're going to be for the rest of your life. How you like that? How's it going for you? And I see so many videos, especially now on Instagram, of people getting baptized in prison and stuff like that. I'm like, he's hard at work down there, but man, he's getting it in up there too.
Yeah,
that gives me hope. And I hope that it gives other prisoners hope. Like I said, and I'd be honest with them, I should be in here from the stuff I'd done, but you just have to have a hope. Without hope and without dreaming, man, you're just dead in the water.
There's nothing.
You're just dead in the water.
You know what's nice is he re-upped with God lately. It's changed his life. And he found men with no ulterior motives, which every person wants in life, starting with their own family, to be part of that group, to get to the next level.
Yeah, it you know that old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. I think
It's
it
the
takes a
same.
village just to support you as a man.
I agree.
As a man,
We were saying that a few days ago.
I can't.
I
You have
agree.
to be aware of your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And you can't be so cocky and arrogant and think you're such a tough ASS that you can't ask. You know, that's a lot of our problems. We just can't ask, especially, you know, I said it earlier and somebody countered it and said, no, just people. And it's true. But I come from a black culture. Don't say that you're hurting. Don't get caught crying, you know. Don't get caught being depressed or any of that. You know, you're liable to get a beating instead of talked to. Hey, you talk about mental depression. Are you kidding? You know, take a whooping and get in your room. You know, so we don't talk about those things, and we need to. We need to let kids that it's okay. It's an epidemic now with teenagers killing themselves. And a lot of them have you know, rightfully said the internet is part of that problem. Instagram is used part of that problem because there's so many lies out there. So I don't care about that. I just want to be one of the guys who says, hey, this is just me. This is what I have to offer. If you're good with it, great, let's get it. If not, hey man, you know, just keep it moving.
Flex, tell me a time in your career that we would have seen you as being at the pinnacle and what you were actually going through during that moment. And let me just frame it for a second. So I asked about 20 people over a period of time. So when we saw you at your height, what were you really going through? So one of them was Eric Dickerson, who might be a friend of yours. So Dickerson was a great football player, Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And I said, Eric, so when you broke the Russian record, like, did you ever think during that time, like, I suck? And he laughed his ass off. He goes, Tim, only you would ask that question. He goes, totally. I was going through so much stuff in my life. I felt like I sucked. And then I asked, like, a famous actor that we would all know. So when we saw you winning the Academy Award, what was going through your mind? He goes, damn, I was dating 3 women at one time, getting in trouble with 2 of them. I was struggling with all kinds of things. And then I was giving my Oscar speech. So give me a time, if you can, when we saw you at the pinnacle, because we're all fans, okay? But what were you really going through behind the scenes?
I guess in you guys' image, the pinnacle would be me winning a great title and standing on stage and looking like a certain way. And
that's how we would see it.
And holding the trophy. As I said before, I have no self-esteem, very little. My words in all my competitions, even if I was competing against a person that I know couldn't beat me, I was just arrogant, and I threw off a different image. To give you an idea, if you see me walk out on stage and I'm strutting, I'm thinking, Jesus, they're about to find out I'm a fugazi. That's what I'm really saying. And then when they call somebody else out next to me, I'm like, good God, now they're going to find out I really don't deserve to be here. You know, so not understanding it, I started trying to transfer my energy. So what I would do is I would tap him. So let's go. If I tap him, now you don't look at me, you look at him. In my ignorance, I'm transferring energy.
Yeah.
And I can now perform. But no, I so many times I thought, like, Jesus, they're gonna, come to my house and take the trophy and take the trek back and find out that I'm just not worthy. So that's you guys' ideal of me being at top. What I understand now, I haven't reached the top yet, but I'm so much higher. I'm so much better as a person, as a human being, than I was as an athlete. We don't even compare. I'd never go back to being that person. It's crazy because, now I lost my leg it is 3 years ago now. So I used to look at my pictures and I would always find all these problems with it. The great image that you guys all see with me staring down.
Yeah.
I would look at it and I would rip it apart, and people were like, "Wow, that's perfection." And all I could do is just rip it apart. And sometimes I would point out what was wrong, and then people's eyes would refocus, like, "Oh my God, I see that. I didn't see that before." So it's like a woman, she walked through the door, and, "Oh my gosh, she looks incredible." And she's thinking, "Damn it, my hair isn't right, my makeup." That's just the way we are as human if we're really driven. But now I after I lost my leg and I decided to go in public and people were staring at me and kids. So I just like, you know what? I feel more perfect now than I ever have before. I've never been comfortable in my skin. I can't stand it. I can't stand being in public. I can't stand talking. I can't stand any of this, but it's what I have to do. And it's crazy because now I accept myself. Even walking around like this, I purposely pull my pants leg up because I want people to know I'm not ashamed. I'm perfect now.
Yeah.
And it's not this. It's this and it's this because I'm closer to him. So I feel closer to being perfection. It's not what we visually see. But like you said, Eric, of course I know who he is. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Who doesn't? But I've talked to so many other great athletes also, and I'm not going to say their names. But I'll mention like Michael J. White and some of those guys' names because they've said it. But you look at them, you think, good God, they're perfect.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, you know what, Flex? And Michael's the one who said this to me. He goes, we struggle because our inner being knows that we're not doing justice.
Wow.
The spirit that he put in us, it's at war with us because we know it knows that we're living lesser than we were supposed to. So we're not happy because it's not happy inside us. We only feel closer and better with ourselves when we're doing good and positive things because that's purely what we're put here for. So I feel so more perfect now in my imperfect body than I ever did in any picture or video you guys have ever seen. And I'm learning even now, and I know I'm very quiet, but when I get on something, it's hard for me to stop. So I appreciate you cutting in and helping alter. I get it. I need that. But I'm just aware that my relationship, and I'll end it with this, that question. A lot lately I've been struggling just with my vulnerability. The way I look, losing weight, getting old, getting gray hair, just everything that naturally happens, especially coming from the ladder that I stood on. And, I jokingly said, now I'm just a mere mortal. I'm not a demigod anymore. I'm just a mere mortal. And I've been really struggling with that. I have a lot of issues I have to deal with. So I know I've been here longer than I'm going to be here. And, I don't know when my time is up, but I know it's a lot closer based on the things that I'm going through. And I struggle with that. My surgeries, I used to love having surgeries. I was addicted to them. Now I'm at fear, like, Jesus, what if I don't wake up? What if they mess up? So I was talking to my pastor, and I've been talking to my pastor for months about this. And what I'm coming to understand is, which do I prefer to be? The perfect image that everybody's seen, or the perfect image that God wants me to be?
Yeah.
Because what I struggle with is that physical part, the way I look, the way I felt, my strength, just my inner self. And, what my pastor and my pastors are helping me to understand is you're getting closer to perfection now. As you get closer to him, you're worried about your exterior that he gave you to do work for him. That will go. But what you can increase is your relationship with him, and it'll replace that. So I constantly ask myself, and I want to ponder that to everybody else, which do you prefer? Prefer to be a millionaire all your life, good looks, all that, or do you prefer a relationship with him?
And I think that's what you sensed in him, Shane, is he has a peace to him. The Bible says those who look to God, their faces will not be covered with shame, but they'll be radiant.
I like that.
And that there's truth to that. I've seen people in dire straits, but if they look to God, there was a radiance to them.
And it seems like he's in a recovery and discovery mode in his life right now. Not just one or the other.
Yeah.
Recovery and discovery.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I like that. Mind if I still?
It's yours.
He gave it to me,
actually
so if I
Tim's.
use it and then I coin it, I have him on record. It's in video, so I'm going to go ahead and trademark that. And he actually verbally gave us that's a verbal confirmation. Man, that's good. It's so true. I am so.
I love the fact though that like I was literally thinking this morning, exactly what you just shared, that I'm struggling getting older. I'm going to be 50 in January, and I have a gray beard. And currently I'm skinnier than I normally am. But I had to because I was having other health issues. I was having GERD. I was having other stuff happening. And I needed to change the way I was eating, you know? And I love to hear because it gives me like that extra that I need to know that it's okay to be where I'm at right now, because my relationship with God, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with myself, my relationship with my business partners, everything else in my life is far beyond what the physical was. You know, sometimes in my mind, I think, remember, because like my prime, I was a late bloomer. My prime was like 40 years old. From like 40 to 45, I was, you know, and money was rolling in, and you know, I was single for a minute, and then I married the girl of my dreams who was like way out of my league, and you know, all this stuff, and we're still very happy. But then I look in the mirror sometimes and I'm like, whoa, who's this fucking old guy?
I say that all the time. My wife is incredibly stunning, and you know, I know that God is at work always, and we have no idea what He has planned for us. Even like when I met, you know, one of my closest friends in the world, Rico McClinton, who was my training partner. I met Rico when I was 18. He came down and we competed in the Teenage Black America, which is racist, but anyway. And I ended up winning. And the whole time I thought he was going to beat me down on stage because he was so much bigger than I was. He had this massive afro. You know, he just set the tone for being a gangster, a true one. You know, later on I found out that he really was. And I could feel his aura next to him. I'm like, good grief, this guy's about to beat me down on stage right now, right? So, you know, we didn't make no eye contact, you know, kept our distance and everything because we both knew we were that tight, right? I think that was 1989, 1987 or something. Anyway, I ended up winning the Mr. America, California in 1989, and I went down to Venice. That's where he lived. And I hadn't seen him in probably three or 4 years. Only seen him once on stage. Long story short, we ended up seeing each other from a distance in Gold's Gym. And I was like, he's like, Flex? I'm like, Rico. And like that, we were on and popping. Did everything together. He was my training partner. He was like a big brother to me. Everybody thought I was a leader because I won more and I was more flamboyant and all that. But he was a true strength. Long story short, you know, during a process of us traveling around the world, getting it in, the world is just our oyster, you know, and he gave his life to God.
Wow.
He never knew it. He never knew a relationship with God. Gave his life to God, changed like that on a dime, right in front of me. And I'm like, I just started noticing things. He didn't cuss. He didn't stare at girls. He didn't make comments. He didn't want to go out and hang out. You know, we used to work at Roxbury. I'm sure all you guys have heard of Roxbury.
Yeah.
Man, it was like our oyster. Yeah, we didn't care. You were a star or anything. You come in there, you're going to do what we want, you know, and all that in the bathrooms or whatever, right? And he just gave it up. And it really cut me so deep. And I kept asking, dude, what's going on? I said, no, it's good, Flex. And he wouldn't even talk to me about it because he knew how I was. I mean, he literally told me, he goes, I don't even think God can help you, Flex.
Yeah.
And he turned his life, and it convicted me, and it cut me so deep. And I'm like, this dude never knew him. And here I am, I know him. And I just said, hey, man, you know, what church you going to? He goes, oh, it's good, Flex. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I want to know. All right, I go to this church. I'm like, okay, cool, I want to come. Long story short, I dedicate my life to that church. And that's how I met my donor.
Wow.
I ran into health problems, and I was being dialyzed, and I kept getting staph infections. So they put the dialysis in my chest, take it out this side of my neck, this out, this side of my neck, this out, this side of my neck, and repeat. I got pictures of it. So I'm all over the place. I'm in a gym, I'm in church, different things sticking out of my neck. And finally, my pastors and everybody there, they knew what was going on. They said, Flex, you mind just standing up and just, telling the congregation what's going on? And I did. And like 8 people just stood up.
Wow.
Damn. 8 people stood up and put their hand up. And she was one of them. And I would have never met her if I didn't have this relationship with Rico. If we didn't hit it off and make it so good, I would have never met her if Rico didn't give his life to God. But God knew all that.
Yeah.
He knew what type of cats we were. He knew the setting that he had to put us in. That triggered me to meet the person that why I'm still here. She lost her life to cancer 2 years ago. And when she found out she had cancer, it was 3 days after our transplant. First thing she did is called me, Flex, you're going to be okay. I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, they found out I have cancer and it's uncurable. But I asked him, I told him I gave you my kidney, and he goes, you're going to be okay. And I'm like, that's your concern right now? So even that, but my point, my wife now, she's a caregiver, she's a nurse, she's been doing it for 20 something years. Who do you think would be better in my life to help me with what I'm going through? He knows that.
That's powerful.
He knows all that. So it's just beautiful. But you got to have hope, man. You got to have hope. But every it's just so difficult. Any positive thing you guys say about me, I can't accept it. I just can't. It's just him. I give all glory to him. I respect it and I thank you. But I've been such an arrogant, cocky person. That's the way I control myself. I understand that everything ebbs and flows. Some people are going to like me. Some people are not. Some people are going to look at me and think this. Some people are not. So I understand it's your opinion. It's not fact. It's not fact. This girl looks good. That's not a fact. It's your opinion. So I really struggle with that, and I have to stay very even toned by saying, hey, I respect your opinion. Thank you so much. It's even hard, like you said, to even say, okay, thank you. I'm learning now just to say thank you. But I'm trying to learn to say it in not a negative way, like, yeah, thanks. Because they're going to take it like, oh, he don't care. He's something. So a lot of times people will picture the way an arrogant person is, thinking they're really arrogant when it's really insecurity. I'm just highly insecure. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. And men don't talk about that. Women either. You puff up your chest, you're insecure. It's like the guy saying, I ain't afraid of you. I'm like, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have to say that. Yeah. But it just came out of you. That spirit had to speak. Yeah, you are. Person ain't afraid of me. They ain't going to say it. They're going to let me know it whenever they need to let me know it. So that's just us as human beings.
The guys on the couch, what are you guys thinking about what he's saying today so far? Just anything that's coming to your mind?
It's all very
powerful.
I mean, we've had the pleasure for the last couple months to be able to talk to Flex on a more personal level. And even this is, a lot more powerful things than we've heard still. I mean, this room is a very vulnerable room. And kind of like Flex said, when we first started, that's the first thing that we do is we tell our story. And because of that, we've opened up what we thought was a huge box. It becomes an even bigger box here in this room today. But I'm just kind of sitting here in awe because just like you guys, I've been a fan my whole life. I was a bodybuilder, I was a competitor. And so for me, hearing a lot of this, especially with the arrogance and the insecurity and things like that hits home very hard for me too, because I think we all struggle with that every single day. And nobody talks about it like he just said. Nobody does. Nobody wants to talk about it because that insecurity, it's vulnerable. And that proves that, you're not superhuman. You're not Iron Man. You can be brought down. You can be beat down. You can cry. And people are afraid to say that. People are afraid to do that. And I love the fact that Flex has no fear of that because he is completely honest with who he is about, what he's been through and who he is as a person now.
Doesn't that just answer the question? It's our perception, man. Right? Totally. It's our perception. Yeah. My perception is you're doing this, and it doesn't have to be reality. Doesn't that alone should empower anyone? Yeah. It's our perception of we're looking at this person and thinking our life is that great, and it's really not.
Yeah.
So based on just I now I just try to say, stay in my own lane, find happiness in my lane. Grass is green on the other side. Yeah, right. Water your own grass. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Watch it grow.
Yeah.
But just what he said, that should almost free everyone's mind. Why can't you? Why can't you?
Yeah. Flex, talk to us about desire. I like to study words. So this whole idea of
I do too. I love it.
Desire is like this appetite. So I have a desire to live, even though I've been through a lot of shit. And so I think all of us at this table, all of us on the couch in this whole room, we've been through things, but I still have a desire to live. I have an appetite to live. Because I think that there's still something that I have not touched. There are situations that are part of my God idea, not my good idea, that I still have not touched. So I have that desire, that appetite. So when you're in a situation like being in the hospital and you got people all around you and you feel almost overwhelmed by a lot of things that are not positive, talk to me about the desire to live. What's that like in you?
Yeah, it's really powerful now. I have to be honest, 2 years ago, I had no desire. I just wanted to get out of here. And, the bad thing about when you're really suicidal, people think, how could you think that? Look how you done. What about your kids? What about those things are triggers. They don't help you put the gun down. It makes you want to pull the trigger faster. Because what a real person who's going through that, I'd say, yeah, I feel that. That's horrible. I have visible thoughts that rolled through my mind of my kids walking by my coffin. I think about it like a picture. That doesn't stop me. I tell myself, pull the trigger. You want to feel that? Hurry up, man. Pull it. So I didn't have that desire until about 2 years ago. I was in a hospital and they gave me some really, really crazy news. They said, for all these years I've had over, I can't even count anymore, quite a few hundred surgeries. And they've always told me your heart is strong. And the last time, a couple of years ago, they said, your heart did something. I can't remember what it was, but they all ran in the room. You okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, what? And they told me, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
How do I control that? I control how I feel. I can fight, but how do I control this to keep beating? I couldn't even go to sleep. I just starts bawling. I'm like, Jesus Christ. I mean, where does that saying come from? Wake up dead. I don't want to go to sleep and wake up and I'm not here. And I don't know how to explain it to you, brother, but it was like these images in my room. And they were being real with me. They were talking like the way I talk. Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. All these years you've been trying to take your life. It's a lot closer than what you think, Flex. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And I just said to myself, I don't know how much longer I got here, but I'm going to be happy. I'm going to love. I'm going to forgive people. I'm going to enjoy my life. No matter what he gives me, I'm going to enjoy it because I'm still be here. So now my desire, it's switched because I don't have that. He doesn't have that type of control over my thoughts anymore. So my desire now is helping people, man, loving my kids. I know my good and bad is in me, is in them. So now I'm very vulnerable with them with everything I go through because all they see and hear is their dad's Flex Wheeler and all the greatness they done. And I want them to know, no, this is what I go through. And I know some of them are going to deal with it. I got to be honest with them. So my desire now is, bang my chest as hard as I can and as loud as I can about what I go through and let you know that, hey, man, you can make it through that. You can get through it. I guarantee you can. But you have to understand the bigger picture. Getting through it doesn't mean that you're going to be happy here. Mm-hmm. Getting through it doesn't mean that my leg is going to grow back. All right? Getting through it doesn't mean that my pain is going to go away. Getting through it means that you got through it. I always think of Job, and everybody tell me the story of Job because we're so relatable. And I say, nah, we're not relatable. God said he was a stand-up man. Mm-hmm. That ain't me. He's unblameable. I'm like, yeah, that ain't me. But our stories are similar. And my biggest hope is to get there. I don't care what happens here.
Yeah.
So that's what drives me now, who I can help, see the bigger picture and help them to get there. Or at least put them on the path. Now it's up to them. That's my desire and hope to live now, to live for my kids, to show them that, hey, no matter what, Dad didn't give up.
It's powerful.
And to show everyone that sees what I go through or read it, damn, he didn't give up. So maybe that'll help you just glance in the mirror like, man, this is what I'm going through. I can make it.
Yeah.
I don't have to give up. That's my desire now. That's my only desire. And if happiness comes with that or whatever he gives me, great. That's icing on the cake. But again, you know, I know sometimes my answers aren't what people expect, but when you ask me a question, I'm going to give you my real answer. I'm not going to give you a cookie coated or what people normally say. But that's my true desire now, man, just to help people. Because, you know, it's horrible. I remember just reading and hearing about, you know, people who are in hell, how they want to come back up and help their kin folks and tell them, you don't want to be here, man. You can't. So the best I can do is be that person here and inspire people not to want to be that way. Because then it's too late. You know, you think about all the hell that I'm going through, unimaginable pain, bro. I suppose that I had a show in Mexico last week, my first show, Flex Wheeler Bodybuilding Classic, right? I didn't even make it. The night before I was supposed to fly away, 4:00 in the morning, I'm screaming in pain, screaming, begging God, please take it away. I can't miss this. You know how much money I got invested in this show? You know, it's my show.
Yeah.
I end up going to the emergency room and not getting out until, you know, yesterday. You know, all that's difficult, but it's a bigger picture. And, you know, it's even odd. I just told Justin, maybe 4:00 yesterday that I was coming. Up until then, I wasn't coming. I'm like, it's no way in hell I'm going to be able to make it. But somehow I got the energy. I was like, you know, let me go. Maybe there's a reason to this. There's a reason to everything.
Yeah.
It's a reason for me being right here. And I think that reason is to tell my story and to give hope. I'm aware of the reason why I'm here. I'm aware of my strengths and my power. And I think that's my calling, just helping people. And you know what's also visibly going through stuff in front of them. You know, life ain't always going to be sugars and cream. And people think that, you know, they pray for the best. I don't pray for the best. I don't pray for God to take away my pain, my iniquities, because it's brought me closer to him. I pray just, God, man, please just give me the strength to endure and to be able to do it good enough that you're okay with it. That's it. I want my pain to be taken away because I know me and my flesh. I'll go back to being Flex Wheeler. That dude ain't no good.
Yeah.
You know, he ain't nobody you want to be around, you know, guy or girl. Guy, fighting reasons, girl, other reasons.
Chad,
just want to put
Chad,
that out. Guys don't have to worry about me in that way.
I'm asking Chad what's going through your mind. And the reason I ask that, because when we're talking about having on Flex Wheeler, right? So my mind went to the stardom until I started, you know, studying the challenges he's been through. How did you think this interview was going to go?
So I never put an expectation on an interview since day one, starting the podcast. That way, I'm always pleasantly surprised. I feel a sense of gratitude. One, because the things that you have been saying are more powerful than any motiversity video that I listen to on a daily basis. I listen to motivation. I don't put crap into my mind anymore. But your words are so powerful because they're so real. And the one thing that this podcast and the people that listen to this podcast all have in common is pain. And for your words to say that, God, just give me the strength to endure this and do it good enough in your eyes. I mean, that is a powerful message. And those are the type of people that listen to us.
Yeah, all accepting.
And you know, I love all these motivational speakers. I love, you know, Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher. I love all these guys, right? But and they can yell at me, and it might be great at the gym, but when I'm sitting in this room right now, there's nothing more powerful than the words that you have given us today. And that's not a compliment. These are facts. These are facts. in my own mind that give me the strength to endure another day.
Yeah, right, bro.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You know,
Well,
we have
it's
24 hours.
It's what we don't see in life.
Yeah.
So the whole thing about like being a disciple was to die to self. So that's why the Apostle Paul said, I am crucified with Christ, but nevertheless I live. Yet not I, but Christ who liveth in me. And so we live in such a fake world where we look at these people that are allegedly living these grandiose lives, and people then go after that target. But I think what Flex is doing is he's saying, hey, listen, I'm still alive, but I have a
Job to do.
job to do.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it in pain.
Yeah.
See, what a motivator would like to do, or someone who just wanted to bring a quick cure, is, oh, damn, Flex, maybe you should go into a place for like 6 weeks and get rid of that and then come back out and now you're whole again. But he's played hurt his entire life, not some of his life.
The pain and torture
Yeah,
that this man's been through has made him righteous,
yeah,
or is bringing him to that
yes,
form of being a righteous human being.
yes,
That's the top level.
yeah.
That's how I'm feeling.
Yeah, I you know, when we talk about pain, you know, the scripture came to me, and you know, I don't try to quote or read scriptures, you know, because of my abilities and disabilities, but I got I don't know why I have 4 Lifetime Achievement Awards. I got 3 of them after I lost my leg. I'm like, geez, is that what it takes? But you know, I tried when Arnold Schwarzenegger gave me my last Lifetime Achievement Award. I think when we met, I tried to read the scripture because I think it really sets a tone for me in pain. And it's I try to read it now. It's 2 Corinthians. You'll know it. 2 Corinthians 12, verse 7 through 10. And it's so I keep from being proud. I was given this thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torture me and keep me from becoming proud. 3 different times I begged the Lord to take this away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in your weakness. So I am glad and I boast about my weaknesses so that I am powerful in Christ, can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses, in my insults, my hardships, and perseverance in troubles that I suffer for Christ. For then I am strong when I am most weak. So it really empowers me because I know now when I was that big, tough guy, I was the weakest person. And I couldn't allow him to show his strength through me. So through our vulnerability and our honesty, we empower him and show how powerful we are. And it's crazy because I sometimes do get embarrassed in public. Most of the time I'm embarrassed in public, even back then. And I go to events or even hear people compliment me when I'm thinking such horrible things about myself. And it's like, you know, this one friend of mine, he said something that was it struck me so deep. You know, I was being honest with him. Like, you know, I was just at an event and I was really embarrassed, you know, because my clothes don't fit right. You know, people see Flex Wheeler and they think me to look a certain way. And I just like, Jesus, you know, they're going to be really disappointed. And I was honest with him. He goes, you know, Flex, you ever think that God puts people in your life to say these things to you, to let you know that's what he thinks of you, not what you think of you? You ever think people, he goes, you know, I know you say that he puts things in their mouth to say, you ever think that some of the people, he's just trying to help you to say, hey, you're okay, man. And they're like, wow. So what I understand now, he's like, man, you look great. He goes, man, you are shining. You know, just we could feel this energy from you. And here I am thinking, that I have to physically be that. But when I'm my weakness, he's so powerful in me that people don't see me, they see him. And that's what I mean by that. And that's one of the things that, you know, I was saying I'm struggling with not being a physical beast, but being a beast for him.
Yeah.
And one can demolish the other. And it's so hard walking away from looking like a demigod to being this, but I give in and I surrender. And that's my peace, and that's where I'm coming from. And, you know, that's just what I'm about. But yes, through pain, all of us. That's our common goal.
It's an interesting thing. Go ahead and you go first.
I was just gonna say all the crap that we had to put in our bodies back then, though, to look like that demigod is just.
Bro, I started using when I was 18 years old, you know, all the way through my whole career. And sadly now I'm on replacement hormones. The first thing I said to my doctor's like, are you kidding me? He goes, yeah, you're going to have to take this for the rest of your life. I'm like, I took that when I was competing. So now you got to tell me I got to stick myself for the rest of my life. He's like, yep. And I'm like, geez, you know, but you're right. It's all fake and it's not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. And what I see, the man that I see sitting in this room is more of a demigod to me.
Great warrior. Great warrior. That's how I'm feeling.
You know,
Yeah,
I
bro.
can, you know, in my mind, I'm sure I thought about other questions I want to ask you, but I don't even want to ask them anymore.
It's all good.
Because
I'm open book.
No, I just don't, because I don't care anymore. I don't care about the answers to the questions that I originally had in my mind about being a champion. And I know what it takes to be a champion, you know?
Yeah.
And the message that you have given to our audience, to me, to all of us in this room today, that's the champion mindset. Yeah. That's the real champion mindset. What are you going to do? There's one motivational speaker. He was a football player, and he ended up getting in a football accident and lost the whole movement to one of his arms.
I think I've seen him before, yeah.
Yeah, and he talks about, you know, what's your character when things are bad in life, when things are tough in life. Everybody can be, when you're on top of the world, the most amazing human being. So that we show the world. But what about in those tough times?
I want to comment on that, and I know you're going to say something.
No.
I'll be quick. I started coining this saying the DNA of a real champion, and I started using a lot. And you know, I learned through my career of losing and winning. A champion isn't defined by winning. A champion is defined by adversity and, you know, going through hard times. You know, like you said, when you're a champion, everybody wants you, guys and girls, right? Yep. Money's being thrown at you. Yep. Everything, you know, cars, everything's free. You walk into a restaurant, somebody walk up and pay for your food. That's great. Everybody loves you. But it doesn't define who you are. I think when you really go through hardships and you hit rock bottom or you deal with just really crushing things, the truth comes out. The true person comes out, and you'll see that person. And I think that has been shown in all actors and great athletes when you see them going through a really rough time and they're completely different and bitter and anger. I'm like, oh, that's really you. It's like, you know, when we're dating a person, we're on our best behavior, no burping, no farting, you know, you freaking strike a match or something when you're in the bathroom so it doesn't stink, all that stuff, right? It ain't really you.
Facts.
And you don't really know her. You don't. Great. Everything's good. Sex is good. You know, everything you can imagine. That ain't really her. It ain't really you. You need to get in some really, really rough, bad times, because then they're going to reveal who they are.
Yep.
Hit rock bottom. Go broke. You know, lose your leg. You know, lose your money. You know, lose your looks. Whatever. They'll let you know who they really are then. Yeah. So those rough times, I think, you know, really, you know, I know it's a number of different quotes in the Bible. One that, you know, something like, and you'll be able to help me, from our spirit, it comes through our mouth and speaks regardless whether we want to or not.
Yeah. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth shall speak.
Yeah, overflows through the mouth or something like that in different ones. So that's so true. And we all look at a champion and think just because they're doing all those great things. So it's not at all. And again, you got to ask yourself, and I think, a lot of us, when we get older, we ponder these things. Because when we're young, everything's great. I'm strong. I'm healthy. I'm going to live forever. Is when we understand that, we won't be here forever. So I don't care about Flex Wheeler. I don't care about what he done. I don't care about any of that. I even struggle with being called Flex Wheeler anymore. But the truth is, nobody knows Kenny Wheeler. And I don't accept anybody calling me Kenny or Kenneth. I'm like, you don't know, dude. So don't try to pretend like you do. You know Flex. So don't come at me like that. My mom can call me Ken or Kenneth. You can't. Somebody I grew up with, but you don't know, dude. That's like me walking up to Magic, which I know Magic really well, and calling him by his real name. I didn't meet him or hear about him from his real name. I met him because he's Magic. So don't try to play like you know me better. But when you get older, I think you start understanding that. And right now, what I want to leave, I don't want to leave, a life of being a great athlete or any of that garbage whatsoever. I want people to say when I'm not here that, the dude cared. He tried to help people. He didn't care about black and white. He just wanted to love everybody. That's all those stupid sayings. Can't we get along? Can't we love each other? That's what I would have made known about. I don't care if they ever mention what I did on stage or anything else like that. What does that mean? Really? How does that really, really help anybody? It doesn't. No. It can inspire you, but that's what I really care about. And that's what I want my legacy to be. I don't want it to be a great athlete. I want it to be like, dude was like a real person. He was a great human being, and man, he fought to be a Christian. That's it.
What's funny? Chad says that all the time. He says, yeah, that guy has he's great. He's up on top of the world, but what's he really doing for people?
I do say that.
He says that all the time. What's he really doing for people?
Like, what are you really doing for people at the end of the day? Because I'm on a mission. I am on
crusade,
a mission now. You took one of my own. And there is nobody that I'm afraid that I fear going after. This is a government problem.
Oof.
Fentanyl.
How deep you want to go into that?
I mean, we can go deep, but we don't have to do it today.
Okay.
And it's a problem. And they took my son-in-law. They took my daughter's first love, besides her dad, because, another interesting story. My whole world is because of this daughter. I got clean and sober almost 23 years ago when she was born. I was selling drugs down in San Bernardino. I was getting them in La Puente from these Chicano gang members and taking them back down to San Bernardino. And on December 9th of 2000, I was going to pick up and I fell asleep behind the wheel and I rolled my car off the 10 freeway in Pomona. It was a piece of metal, just a ball. I don't even know how I survived. I shouldn't have survived. And except for God.
Amen.
5 days later, I was in the hospital for 5 days, and 5 days later, I was sitting at the same bar in La Puente, which was a bar that was owned by the gang, and the only people in the bar were the gang members. And they started passing around some weed, and I was selling their meth, and the weed got to me, and I took a hit, and I started to get paranoid because I never smoked weed. I started looking around the room, and I was looking in these men's eyes,
seeing demons.
I saw every single one of those men. I was like, these guys are stone cold killers. And I looked around the room, and I got a little paranoid, and I picked up the phone and I called my mom. I had a Motorola flip phone in the 2000. I opened up my phone, I called my mom, and my mom was crying, and I said, "Why are you crying?" And she's like, "You just had a little baby girl." And I had that moment of clarity, and that's the same little baby girl that 22 years later. So I started a treatment center because of this. 21 years ago.
What's the name of the treatment center?
Hope by the Sea.
Is it a website or anything?
Yeah, hopebythesea.com.
Copy.
Yeah. It's been around for 21 years. It's my largest treatment center. I now own 6 other ones. 22 years later, her pain hit, then I wasn't going to let, Justin's death be in vain. And so we just started doing this, man. Just two nerdy old white dudes, and
Both bald too.
yeah.
I color my beard too.
Chad, can I say something to you?
Yeah.
His name was what again?
Justin.
Justin. I thought you said Justin. I don't want to confuse it because of Justin over there, but like I said earlier, I don't know why some people have to go through certain things, and it really don't feel fair. And I don't know why, but I've often thought about like kids who have autism or can't function properly or slobbing or whatever. I'm like, how could God do that? Not the God that I know. And then I have to understand that's beyond my understanding. But those people, when I see them, it triggers something in me. It triggers me to be kind. It triggers me to be loving. It triggers me to want to know more about them, and it gives me empathy. And I know certain people have seen what I'm going through, and it triggers certain things for them. I don't know why, but you have to understand what Justin's sacrifice have done and how many lives he's saved. And it would have never happened if God didn't use him in that way. I don't know. Brother, we'll find out at the end of days. We'll get all those answers. But having your daughter triggered you to become the man that you're on a walk to now. And man, relighting that fire, unfortunately, Justin was that fire that relit it. So you're doing such great things in his name. I don't know why, man. I often say I wish I could take people's lives. They deserve to be here. The great actor from the Black Panther, when he passed away, I was like, Jesus Christ. And then I learned all about him, how great he was, a humanitarian. I was like, he deserves to be here, not me.
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah, he deserves to be here, not me. But I don't know why God allows that to happen, brother, but we have to make good out of it. It's so hard.
There was something that you said earlier that, really, I ask God the same thing all the time. I ask him, who am I? What makes you think that I can carry all of this weight?
Gosh.
Like I ask him, I'm like, God, do you know how weak I was? Like I am? Like I was the shyest, weakest, low self-esteem child on the planet.
That's why he
In
can
my
use you.
eyes.
That's why he can use you, brother. Same reason I read that quote.
Hey, Chad, can I say something?
Yeah.
I just feel for you and what your daughter went through, finding her husband like that. I went through something similar with my best friend, with my older brother, Blake. He was 15 months older than me, and he was my best friend. And I found him, Yeah. He was in his apartment in Newport Beach, and he'd been there, and it wrecked me for a long time. I found him when I was high on cocaine and drunk. We were on a Duffy boat. It was a Sunday, Newport Harbor, having a great time. My now wife, bunch of friends. My mom called me to go check on him because we hadn't heard from him in a while. And after the coroner got there and zipped him up and took him away, we drove back home and we sat on the couch in the darkness, no lights, no TV, no talking. And we sat there all night. And I just thought how different my life is going to be and that I'm forever changed. And the next 2 years of my life, it was the darkest hell that I'd ever been in, and I drank and used and numbed myself
because of flashbacks. I'd remember the smell. And I just couldn't do life. It was too hard. Until I got sober, you know, on June 15, 2021, going on 2.5 years of sobriety. And I just had to, you know, I just relate with you guys about going through just the toughest shit. And I'll never forget, before I got sober, you know, just arguing or fighting with God. I remember sitting there just sobbing like a little girl and asking him, why? Why would you take my brother? You know, and I remember just him putting this on my heart. I just remember him saying, he was never yours to have. He was always mine. And I remember I got pretty sad at that. But soon after, I remember feeling him say, and so are you. You know, my brother put his faith in Christ. You know, so I know where he's at. And I know I'll see him again, but it's crazy. Some of the stuff we have to go through. And then you come out on the other end and you have this whole different outlook on life and what everything means. And it sounds weird, you know, but I don't regret anything that I've been through in my life, you know, because it's got me here to this point today. Everyone in this room, we've all been through hell, you know, that most people don't have to go through, but that is what got us here today. Because I used to be that hopeless, full-blown alcoholic, garden variety drug addict, slowly killing myself and killing others. I was a big-time drug dealer for a lot of years. And I don't know, man. So like being on two different sides of the fence and now being here in recovery and all about just trying to make an impact and help people that are still going through that adversity, you know, and just to know, I mean, just for the listeners, you know, because you mentioned it, the whole fentanyl thing, man, that's the real epidemic. That's the real pandemic. And the guys and girls are dropping left and right, and people have to find them, whether that's family or friends. And for anyone that's listening to this, that you can get through it. You know, that woulda, coulda, shoulda game, or that depression or guilt or shame or whatever you're feeling, that's the disease. And the disease wants you to go into confinement and be by yourself. But on the opposite end of that is connection and relationships with like-minded people, whether that's men or women. And that's how we grow and that's how we get better. That's our medicine. You know, if we're able to flip that switch and change our mindset and use what we've been through to go help people like what Flex is talking about, it's something special.
You know what, man, thanks so much for sharing that, Big D. All I can say, brothers, God uses people. You know, the same people that inspire us in the Bible went through really bad things. Mm-hmm. And for whatever reason, God chose to use them. And look what he's done, though. You got to look at the greatness. And, you know, it is a drug-induced world. I mean, God, what's the first thing a doctor said back in the old times? The greatest cliche in the world: take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning. Basically, they're saying, get out of my face, go take some drugs, hopefully it'll work. That's just the world we live in. And you talk about fentanyl. There it is, bro.
Yeah.
I just pray, and I'm so thankful that I don't have that desire to be a drug addict, because it's easy for me.
Yeah.
They can't deny me. I'm an addict in other things. I used to be an addict for women, an addict for sex, because I was raped all my life. So I thought, hey, that's just the way you show love, you know. But it hurts. But God uses people. But we got to look at the good. I mean, gosh, he let his own son. I have sons and I have daughters. I can't imagine losing them. But like Dee said, man, they're not mine. Every night I pray like, God, please just bless me to be a better man. Bless me to be a better father. Bless me to be a great custodian for the kids that you put in my life to be over. You know, bless me to just do something to cause them to ricochet in a better direction, and to want to have a desire to find you and have a life with you. And if I got to go through everything I got to go through to save someone's life, man, isn't that not worth it?
Yeah.
You know, so man, I encourage you guys, and however I can help your foundation, man, not a problem. Anything I could do. But we need people like that, and it's just so bad now in our world of just drugs. I mean, even now, they drill the hell out of me, and they make psychiatrists come into my room and check me to make sure and all that stuff. But my pain level is so far off the chart. Literally, they have to drug me out of my brain. I literally am so close to death. The amount of drugs they have to give me, because I've had so many surgeries and it doesn't affect me anymore. That's where we're at. And you're trying to tell me we can't do better than that?
Yeah.
We can send men to the moon. We can do all these great things. I met so many incredibly scary people, murderers, government, this, that, and other. I was on a plane with this guy like 20 years ago, and he had lost his leg. And, you know, after 10 hours of being on a flight and having another 10 hours to go, you just kind of start talking to the guy next to you. I don't know who he was. He didn't identify himself, but he said, hey, listen, this is what I do for the government. He goes, we already have tires that'll never wear out. There's no money in that. Engines, cars, all that. We use them in the military. You know, it was a time when they were looking for Osama. He goes, we know where I'm at. So many times we could have got him. They won't let us. And they keep allowing our brothers and sisters to die and land beside us. And all they do is drug us out. Drugs are so rampant in the military. It's just rampant. And then they expect us to be normal human beings when we get out of there. But I don't know why God allows us to go through things. All I can say for myself is, man, use me. Yep. Use me, and good God, please allow me to be able to get through it and just be like, hey, Flex, you barely made it, man. You're going to be cleaning toilets here, you know, for the rest of eternity. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we just got to look at the bigger picture. And sadly, even what I've been through, you guys are saying somehow affected you. It's all bad. But that's when he's his strongest and he can do his greatest work. You wouldn't be who you are if your daughter wasn't born.
No.
And you wouldn't be on fire if she didn't lose her fiance.
No.
So you got to ask yourself, was this life that was worth it? Or was it worth it just making her happy for momentarily and possibly still being on drugs, possibly affecting her where she's going to be on drugs, possibly affecting the kids and everybody else?
Well, just in the fact that, you know, I know how much pain this young man was in. And I know that because, like, I've been in that same kind of pain, you know? Like, he's not in pain anymore. Michelangelo, I think you turned up a mic and then you didn't turn it back down.
Michelangelo, man, that's a hard name to live up to, son. Jeez. Good grief. Talk about setting up for failure or greatness.
Yeah, so, you know, I'm okay, you know, and when I say that, I mean I'm okay that God has chosen me to be the one to carry this load. I'm just like you though. Like sometimes I question. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you got the right guy? Because I know a lot of other people. You know, like I don't know how I have 150 staff members. You know, 250 clients. You know, all of their families. You know, sometimes it's like you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm responsible for all of these people. You know?
Wrong thinking, brother. He is.
Yes, exactly.
That's just a human in us. He is.
Right.
And we put all this pressure on us. I. And it's never I. It's always him.
Beautiful. Can I ask you something? How do you get over that imposter syndrome? I get the same exact feeling. where I have 120 coaches worldwide. A lot of them are leaning on me, and I know exactly what I'm doing. But I wake up that same way. Just so that
Especially with me, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm your
So
worst case.
I think
no.
the answer to that is that all of us are only stewards of what we have. So it's exactly what Flex said. So the Bible says that God gives us assignments. So we all have different assignments. Some of us are parents. That's an assignment. To be a husband, that's an assignment. To be in the recovery world that we all are in, that's an assignment. So the key is to be a good steward of it. So we're never trying to own it. As Flex said, when we try to own and manipulate is when we get in trouble. So we're just only stewards of what God's given us. And what happens is that God will give you grace for what we do. Grace to raise a child, grace to go through pain, grace to age. So everything is God's super on our natural that makes us supernatural.
Amen. And you know what, Justin? So I haven't mastered it, obviously, but your doubts come from somewhere. All your negative thinking, it comes from somewhere. You may not be aware of it in the bigger picture, but it all does. There's absolutely nothing from him that's bad or weigh on you or hurt you. So your negative thoughts is just him. So you have to understand the possibility, Justin, of your coaches and your reach, what they're doing and how they're affecting people and how God might be using them. And when you doubt yourself, that's just the devil. It's not him. It's just the devil. And he's trying to prevent you from doing that. So just like a pastor or somebody's over a large congregation, I now understand why that pastor might fall. I don't need to go after the congregation. Are you kidding? I just need to go after him. If I get him, everybody stumbles. If I get the leader, the father in a family, if I get the leader of a company, if I get him, it's a ricochet. So he's after you. And as long as you're doing good, he's going to be after you. It says in the Bible, the devil isn't after people who's doing his work. They're good. They think they're living a life. They're happy. They got money, sex, whatever, drugs. This is life. The life all that we thought before, right?
Yeah. I've been finding that I keep leaning into because like work is my addiction, right? Like these guys know I work like around the clock. And it's like whenever I have like these like they're fleeting thoughts of like imposter syndrome or whatever, I just bear into my work. And it's like then it goes away, right?
Yeah.
But that won't be a long-term fix, brother.
I know.
It's not going to. That's a short-term fix.
Yeah. So the remedy to that, which takes time, is I can do all things through Christ. So
and you're putting it on yourself that you have to do it. That's a big difference.
Yeah. So when you do the through Christ thing, it becomes super powerful because even when you get to where Flex was in the bodybuilding world, had he had that attitude that through Christ, in Christ, through Christ, in Christ, it puts a different kind of confidence in you where you know it's not you, but it's Christ in you.
Sure. Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people with that same imposter syndrome sometimes also share a God complex too.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel like the switch flips for me both ways constantly.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do for yourself? There it is.
You know how many
you stumbled.
people have
No, I
asked me
already
that
know.
fucking
We were
question?
just talking
So
about
that's
that.
the
You know how
problem.
many people have asked me that question? I don't.
You can't continue giving, and not giving back into yourself, Justin. If you don't do you, everybody else stumbles. If you don't do you, your business is going to stumble, your wife, your family. You can fall back to the Justin, the real Justin that was before. If you don't do you, I never understood on an airplane where they say, put the mask on your child before you. And I'm like, no, are you kidding? I'm going to take care of my kid. You leave your kid vulnerable if you don't take care of you first. Who's going to take care of your kid if you perish? Who's going to take your job if you go back to being a drug addict?
Right.
How many people are going to stumble that are drug addicts underneath you that are going to go back? That's one of the things that weighs on me so greatly. If I stumble, how many people am I going to cause to stumble? And that's a big sin. God says, do not cause nobody to stumble.
Yeah,
So you need to find, and I hear you say that all the time. Like this morning, you text me, I think it was like 3 a.m. He's like, God, it's lunchtime for me. My first thought was, this dude cannot sustain. You can't. Even Superman is kryptonite that'll beat him. You got to find something. And I know what that something is, and you're hearing it all throughout the room. It doesn't make it easier, no, Justin. People who are driven, that God give this to, it will never have an easy, comfortable life because we have tasks ahead of us.
Right.
So I don't want it easy. Do you? I don't want to just lay back and have life. I'm not helping people. You're always doing better and challenged and beaten down when you're doing great things. So my answer to you is you got to have a better relationship with him. And then my other answer is you got to take time for Justin. How old are you, Justin?
37.
I guarantee you, brother, you won't make it to 60. Not living like the way you do. What I called it when I was competing, people say, oh, you burning candles on both ends. I burned the candle on both ends and would go like this. I'm speeding everything up. You got to slow down. You got to have time for Justin. You got to have some quiet time, whatever that
You're
is.
the fourth
brother.
person that said that in the last 5
So when are you going to listen? So,
what do I do for me?
so the answer is when are you going to listen? And different people have told you the same thing.
Yeah.
So as wise as just sometimes, when we're super smart, it's the biggest dilemma to let go. The most intelligent people, I listen to them. And even, again, brother, you can do better than me. And in the Bible, it says something about if you try to figure me out or my ways, you'll go crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to hear these intelligent people like the Big Bang Theory talk about how I'm like, wow, how lost are you, man? Sometimes when you're given that big brain, it's just really difficult. But you got to sit back and ask yourself, who gave you that big brain? Why did he? And am I using it? I knew I was using my gift for women and money. And I was like, I asked death upon myself. I did. I couldn't control myself.
Well, I think we just saw a side of Flex that was pretty cool of the life coach side of him. That was some great answers he was giving you.
Reverse mentoring.
So that I've never heard. That was good.
That was nice.
But you guys, if I was thinking of what I would call Flex's movie or book, we'd start with a book, then we do the movie. But it's really like the journey, because the way your journey started and the way it's unfolding, right, is really some beautiful stuff. And the thing that Flex, where the Bible says in Isaiah 61, that God will
That's
exchange.
so beautiful, brother. That's so beautiful that you can quote scriptures. That's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I pray that I get there. That is just beautiful, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, in Isaiah 61, it says that God will exchange your ashes for beauty. He never says he'll put beauty on your damn ashes. It's the divine exchange. And the ashes are the dead things, and the things that are so terrible in our lives, that he exchanges beauty for ashes. But part of that beauty is the pain that we've been through, but the fragrance that we now give off of as broken people.
Well, I'll tell you something. God forgives because, we all go through that turmoil, and he's gone through the turmoil, lived a certain way, but that was survival instincts, right? God was always with you. You were surviving at that time, getting through whatever demons you had to get through with. Now you've changed. God's still with you, just in a different way.
And I see him. What's that great poem? Footprints in the sand.
Footprints in the sand.
And
Where
always
were you?
try to
I was
quote-
carrying you. Yeah.
And that's what we think. I'm by myself. And, and I can't remember, but it's like, no. He goes, well, where were the footprints? When there was only footprints. I was walking by him, and he's like, no, I was carrying you. And that's so freaking.
And it's so weird when people like you and I, who grew up with knowing God, right? We knew God. My grandma is a saint to me. Like, she's the only person. She I mean, I was out there running and gunning, and that grandma was at home praying.
Jeez. Didn't give up either.
Never gave up.
Yeah.
Never judged me.
10, 20, 30 years, they're still just, solid.
And even when she died, man, I knew, because my grandma was the first person to die in my life. And when she died, I knew that I was like, this is even worse, because now she can see everything that I'm doing.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so deep. That's so deep.
I mean, really, I thought that. But I was going to just really quick, I don't know, do you know who Tim is?
No, sir.
So Tim, can I brag a tiny bit?
Please do.
Tim's story is
Tim's been Googling and seeing things about me, and I feel unfair.
Yeah.
So please, let's undress him for a second.
Yeah, let's undress him. Let's make
not
him
visibly,
feel vulnerable here.
Yeah, there we go.
And I don't know why you can quote scripture like you do, but did you used to do some preaching too?
Yeah, I mean, I went to seminary.
Okay.
So my doctorate is in world religion, and
Okay.
my master's is in therapy.
Awesome.
Wow, you're super scary. I
So I don't even know when this
He's
happened,
going to
but
convict me.
But I can go back to like 1999 at least. In 1999, there was a guy that was really screwing up in this world, right? He was a younger actor. He was always in the news.
Oh, jeez. His dad was a great actor, and his brother too, right?
Was he? Was his dad?
Different actor.
Oh, it's a different
Actor.
Yeah,
but
I
he had
helped
both
him.
of them.
I helped
Oh,
him.
you know
He
what I'm
had
talking
him
about, right?
too. Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah,
He had him
yeah.
too.
So, but that for me, that's where Tim gets his claim to fame, right? He is. They call him the comeback coach. Because he has been a life coach to many, many celebrities and pro athletes throughout their lives and that's been his career.
Yes.
Wow.
Since the late 80s.
I didn't know that, but I get that from you. I get your energy. I get your delivery. I get your soft spoken mannerism that always quiets the room. The person's yelling makes everybody yell. One of my greatest mentors, who I give a lot of credit to, fighting ability, martial arts. He was just so mental. I mean, we made our own bullets. He'd take me out and teach me how to like make water out of bad water, survival. Always, if I'm with somebody, always know where they're at in the room. If they go to the bathroom, keep my eye on the door. If they don't come out of the bathroom in a couple of minutes, start making my way over. Everybody I meet, I put them in a color code: white, green, gray, red. You understand what those codes mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But he was so mental like that. And he installed that so much in me. And you say that about your grandmother. I mean, sometimes I'll be sinning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you can see me.
Yeah.
And it
I
causes
don't want
me
to
to
see
stop.
that stuff.
And I still pray to her. I still thank her, for everything she's done. But again, it's sad, but only broken people can help broken people. And one of the worst things is us feeling vulnerable and wanting to be broken. You can only be fixed on, what is that old saying? Bruce Lee said it all the time. One of the reasons why I got into martial arts and wanted to be a fighter. But, your cup's too full. Can't help you, man. You got to empty some of that, And that's what we got. Justin, you got to empty some of that.
Well, that's what you were saying to Justin,
Yeah.
and I don't know what Justin's schedule is, but if at 3:00 is when he's going to lunch, I mean, typically I'm getting out of bed, but I think that as you get older, I do have a very disciplined schedule, especially my routine, because I want to get all of my stuff done
Yeah.
before the family wakes up.
Yep.
So that's why I do that
Right.
stuff.
That was more of a joke than anything.
I know you wasn't, but still.
I just always like, I'm
Yeah.
always awake, like working, like I'm
You could have came back because I answered you. So you're like, oh, really? And you're awake. So what are you doing awake right now? But that's why I didn't say anything. I'm like, he's going to blast me back. But go
Yeah,
ahead.
but
Sorry.
I mean, no, but that's part of my routine. But also at the same time, as I've gotten older, I've had to let my body say, okay, you've been sick, Chad. So 3 a.m. isn't happening right now. And Chad, it's okay. You're not going to die if you don't go to the gym for two weeks or a month. You know, it's not going to make a difference in my physique right now when I'm having some health issues that I need to get from point A to point B. So sometimes, like I've learned as I've gotten older, that it's okay to slow down for a little bit. You know, I don't have to keep such a rigid schedule, although my schedule is pretty rigid on the norm. But then I listen to myself. I listen to my mental state, my physical state, my spiritual state. One of the reasons why I get up so early though is for that spiritual state. That's the first thing I do, because I don't ever want to go back to running and gunning in the streets and sticking needles in my arms and hanging out with people that I used to hang out with.
In La Puente.
In La Puente. It's a scary place, man. I'll tell you what, 2 months after I left there, the girl that I was buying drugs from, she was the hyena of the head guy who was in prison. And this other guy kicked in her door. He was an abusive boyfriend of her friend, a white guy, had no idea whose door he was kicking in. Oof. Kicked in this door. And this girl pulled out a .357 Magnum and shot this guy and killed him.
Wow.
Those were the people I was hanging out with on December 9th of 2000. So, you know, to say I've changed my life is an understatement.
Yeah.
And one of the best things that I've found, because my whole job ever since that day, my job has been, I knew on that day when I called my mom, I knew that God had left me here to help other people that suffer from the same thing that I suffer from. And I say this all the time on the podcast or on Zoom meetings, different things that we do. I don't suffer from addiction. I suffer from the things that go on between my ears that caused me to act out in addictive behaviors.
Yeah, true. So true. We're our biggest critic and our worst adversary. I used to always get asked, what's the best and worst thing about you, Flex? And I'm like, that's so easy. The answer is me. Both. I'm the greatest thing about me, and I'm the most destructive thing about me. The most destructive thing lives up in here.
Yeah.
He's my worst adversary. He knows how to counter everything I do. What I learned now is I hundreds of times a day, I would say these negative things. You're not worthy. Geez, you're not even worth the air you breathe. You know, you suck. You're a cripple. You get old. You know, you're not nothing. Look at you. You know, you got body fat. You bald. Can't even grow hair. You know, all these things. You not even deserve the air. Somebody else deserved the air to breathe. And I had, it was just probably a few months ago, I was listening to myself talk to somebody else about being positive and how back in, you know, first thing you do if you get hurt, somebody will come up like, you're going to be okay. You know, they might see your leg missing or whatever. You're going to be okay. They're instilling positivity into you. You walk up to a woman you don't even know her, you can call her a B, ruin her day. You go, oh my God, you look great today, and keep walking. That's so powerful. It lets you know how powerful words are. You know what you're not, but I can call you so many things right now. I can get into you. You know it. That's how powerful words are.
Yep.
They're lies.
Yeah.
We constantly lie to ourselves. So what I learned is I got to counter. I got to fight. Every negative thing I say in my brain, I got to counter it with a positive thing. It's so tiring. But I'm like, geez, if the devil is just diligent, I got to be. I'm talking like multiple times a second. going to sleep, my brain just running, saying these negative things, arguing with it. Seriously, arguing. I'm like, dude, you arguing with yourself. Shut up, you shut up. Are you still doing it? We have to counter those negative things.
That's how I learned to memorize scripture, because my mother, and she's very strong still at 91, she was a strong disciplinarian, and she went too far, because we were born, I was born in Compton, California, 7 people, 2-bedroom apartment. And my father dies at 10. She has to raise 5 kids working at Winchell's Donut Shop. So she never said anything positive to us. It was always like we were one step behind. And so when I went to seminary, I always felt like I was one step behind, even if I wasn't. So I met this guy named Larry, and he said, you need to renew your mind by the word of God. I said, how do you do that? He said, you could get the Bible on tape. Do you guys remember back in the days when there was an actual tape?
Yeah. Cassette. Man, we can go back to the 8-track. You guys don't even know.
Exactly, right.
You guys.
So you guys, I had the Bible on tape on these cassettes, and I'd put it on my Walkman. I'd listen to that crap all night long, and it would just renew my mind. And then I started memorizing scripture. And I learned at that time, and now I know more, but I had one time I had memorized in college 2,000 scriptures that I could do in a row.
Jeez.
But it renewed my mind. And so every single day I renew my mind for 1 hour in the morning just to stay even like this. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to counter.
It's a
you
counter.
have to fight. You have to
Yeah,
fight.
it's a
And we
counter.
don't look at it that way. So what for hours, how many 365 seconds, minutes, and an hour? And you go into years. That's how much we beat on ourselves, and then we think we're going to be okay after that.
Yeah.
You have to counter. You know, Justin, if I tried to break into your house and take everything you had, would you fight?
Yes, sir.
You have to counter. So someone's trying to break in your mind and have you do bad stuff and think negative about what you're doing. What are you doing about it? It's serious. We all have to. I mean, all of us. Everybody's listening. It's a fight. You're lost and you're an idiot if you don't know there's a big fight going on, and the victory is winning you, good or bad.
Yep.
It's truly cussing, fighting, girls, money, success, all of it's a major freaking fight. And one of the biggest things I'm trying to learn now is, you know, my money doesn't define me. My checkbook doesn't define me. My car, the way I look doesn't define me. I define me by how I carry myself and through him. That's so hard for us because we're such visible people, you know, but it's a fight.
Well, Flex.
I just want to say one thing. He was a pinup guy. He was like a pinup. He was on the wall. I'm sorry. I'm going to end on those notes. I have no choice. He was on the wall of millions of people throughout this world.
Yes.
He was torn out of magazines and he was pinned up on walls. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty fucking awesome, bro. Even though you were miserable at the time, I'm sorry for that. But the pleasure you've given everybody else in this world
How
was
about that?
unbelievable.
How about that?
That pleasure was unbelievable.
Price
People
paid.
got up
Beautiful.
and the people did things because of you. You were a shepherd. You led people through your misery. Even though you didn't understand what you were doing, you got people off their asses to a fucking gym. You made them lose weight. You made them want to be somebody other than themselves.
How beautiful is that?
It's a good possibility. You know, I'm clean and sober today because I found fitness.
Yeah.
You know, and fitness was bodybuilding back in
Yeah, damn rights it was.
in the 90s. Everybody was bodybuilding in the 90s.
Yes.
1996 I was a
Fuck
I was
yeah.
132 pound soaking wet
Weakling.
meth addict.
Yes. Say it.
Came off
Say
the
it.
streets. Weakling.
There we go.
I couldn't even bench the bar. I
You
couldn't
see?
bench
Been there.
the bar.
This is
there
what I'm
now.
this is what I'm talking
right there
about.
No, you're right. You know, just the people that was into fitness. I had the honor of meeting the brilliant men that you guys have on your wall, number 8, number 24, and becoming friends with them. And I met him through fitness.
Yeah.
And I ended up meeting this trainer, and this trainer introduced me to Kobe, and we hit it off. And literally, I used to make these shirts. Once again is on, Pimp and Iron. And I would give him my shirts, and he would give me his shoes, and we would switch and stuff like that. And you talk about people inspiring that had to suffer. I mean, I was in church when I heard the story about Kobe, and I just couldn't handle it. And I thought about him, and I thought about his daughter, and I'm like, Jesus, the last minutes of that, not to mention the other family and kids are on there. It's hard to say, but they've done so much beautiful things by their sacrifices.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to say, but they have. And I just want to end on just, I know Justin kept saying, man, you got to do this podcast. Would you do this podcast? And I'm like, oh, God, I know. I'm so tired of being on people's podcasts telling the same story. It's been told 1 billion times. And he was so adamant, and he kept telling me about it. And I wasn't aware of you got podcasts. But again, bring this to full circle. Look how God works.
Yes.
I was in the hospital. I wasn't going to make it. Didn't make it in Mexico. Just less than probably 24 hours. I told Justin, okay, I'll come. Thinking it was just another podcast.
Yeah.
And look at the people that we potentially touch. Look at it, the men in this room that we touch. You just never know, man. You just never know what God has in store. All you got to do is wake up and be willing.
That's it.
I hope your story was a little bit different on this podcast
it was,
than your typical story.
It was completely.
I at the end, it was like, there was a section in there where I told you that I had other questions, but that was about Flex Wheeler, the bodybuilder. And after hearing this Flex Wheeler, the real story, the real stuff, I don't even care about that stuff.
And I know my answers are really like offbeat, but I feel I have to be really honest and tell the truth about that, because a lot of the times the questions people ask me are based on what they've seen and what I've done, not what I've been through and what I'm going through. And they don't even know how to ask those questions. So a lot of my answers now are figured off of my experiences and what I've seen and what I've been through. Is not the typical, I go to the gym and this, that, and other. And I'm just not that guy. It's just not the story or what I have to say. And I'm happy about that, because again, being on you guys' podcast, I think we really help people. And it's also helped me tremendously. It's helped me to open my eyes that, I am struggling, but look at these people I'm helping.
Yeah. I agree. So I think that the brilliance, Flex, in where you are right now is that you are unfiltered. And when a lot of people get to a certain stage, not an age, but of wisdom and strength and really solidifying themselves in Christ, that they become more unfiltered.
Yeah.
And I think that this unfiltered interview is going to help so many people. This is the one that will go viral.
Yeah.
This is some very powerful stuff. And again, once again, I'm glad he brought the posse.
Yeah.
Can't roll without them.
Not an ugly guy in the group though.
Thank you.
These guys, they're like a boy band, but they're bigger.
Yeah. Like NSYNC.
Like NSYNC on steroids.
Yeah. We're just grateful to be here, man. That was awesome.
Yeah,
Totally
wow,
appreciate you
wow.
guys.
Really turned out like something I couldn't have imagined.
I mean,
I never knew.
I
never know.
I thought I'd be waiting outside while you guys were doing
No,
this.
we sit up the couch.
I didn't.
Couch.
I didn't know what to expect. So this has been an awesome opportunity.
But guys, tell us the best way to follow Flex for all the people watching. When you guys tell?
Official Flex Wheeler. So
Okay.
at official Flex Wheeler on Instagram.
Okay, perfect.
Absolutely.
Yep, and we'll be putting out a lot more stuff, a lot more positive stuff now that I'm with JW Fit, and it's just like-minded people. We're all hurting, and we're all trying to help people, and that's the most beautiful thing about being a part of this crew, or else I wouldn't be a part of it. It's too many. It's too many boy bands out there, right? That are
these guys are the real guys, though.
walk
Like
the walk
and
and
I've
talk the talk.
I've been watching them for since we met them. And watching what they do, and you guys are doing things right.
Thank you.
and for the right reasons, not just for money, cars, and women.
Yeah.
You know, to really help people change their lives.
Yeah.
That's the message of the Hopeaholics, man. We just want to help people become the best versions of themselves on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I have to thank all of you guys for allowing me to be this open. I think it's difficult for most podcasts to hear what I have to say because they have a preset determination of questions they're going to ask me in mind frame. So it restricts me from just really being honest and ad-libbing to the question. So that's a great strength that you guys showed. And it also shows what you guys are really trying to do. You're not trying to, have a cookie cutter, person on here, or myself, a cookie cutter Flex Wheeler. You guys allowed me to really shed my skin and show you and your listeners really what I'm all about. And that takes a different type of strength because people, they're so rigid and they think, oh, well, this is going to work. We got to talk about this. This is going to get views. But that's really powerful. And thank you for that.
We actually know what works and what's going to get views. And it's called authenticity.
Yep, authenticity. That's it. That's it.
Of us. That's all.
That's all we operate on.
I'm gonna end with this because people told me when we started podcasting.
Yeah, they did.
And they were like, "No, Chad, you have to do this, and you've got to keep your podcast to under 45 minutes, and you need this." And I was like, "Joe Rogan doesn't do that." I said, "Logan Paul doesn't. They don't do that. They just do whatever they want, and they're the leaders in the industry. So I'm going to do what they do, and I'm actually just going to do what I want to do.
Be authentic.
Yeah.
Be authentic. Yeah. We're our authentic selves. And I also, I'm also a believer. So I believe that when I sit down in this chair and I sit down at this table, whatever comes out is exactly what God wants the people to hear.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Amen. Yeah, baby.
All right, man.
Right
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, bro.
I don't know what we do now. We have like 4 people.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah, baby. Our ending. All right. We got
Our ending is our beginning.
That was awesome.
That was